A tragic crime scene is uncovered. Police found a horrifying discovery, a hidden room filled with books and the remains of countless victims. The media swarms the area reporting the shocking case. Among the chaos, a boy is found, alone, frail, and barely alive. His existence is a mystery. Authorities transport him to the hospital. Doctors examine him, noting his malnourished state and signs of prolonged captivity. His name is revealed, Jin Mook, a 19-year-old boy. His striking appearance catches attention, but his silence and lost memories leave many questions unanswered. The doctors try to communicate, but he doesn't speak. Instead, he scribbles something down. The message shocks them. It's crude, yet revealing. The realization sets in. He was imprisoned for a long time, raised in darkness, and only now sees the outside world. Alone in his hospital room, his thoughts spiral. His past remains a blur, but emotions boil within. Memories of isolation, hunger, and fear haunt him. At night, he curls up in a corner, unable to sleep. The trauma runs deep. The doctors discuss his case, realizing the extent of his suffering. He has known nothing but confinement, yet he survived. Some are sympathetic, others see him as a puzzle. The media speculates, desperate for details. But for Jin Mook, none of it matters. He remains trapped in his own mind, haunted by his past. Days pass. He begins adjusting to his new surroundings, but something still lingers. He notices small details, the way people act, the way they observe him. He pieces together information, his sharp mind analyzing everything around him. His instincts, shaped by years of survival, tell him that danger isn't over. One morning, he wakes up and something feels different. A sudden sharp awareness washes over him. His senses heighten. His body, weak from years of imprisonment, now holds something unusual, something powerful. A man in the same hospital room casually observes him, analyzing details about his body, his habits, his injuries. But then, something shifts. A spark ignites. The man moves, but before he can react, an unnatural force takes over. His body acts on its own, defying logic. A split-second decision, an unexplainable reaction. Jin Mook is not just a victim. He is something more. Shocked by his own abilities, he begins to piece together the truth. His past, his captivity, the things he endured, it was all leading to something. He isn't just a survivor. He's something else entirely. Shin Woo-jin wakes up in a hospital bed, his body weak and frail. A doctor stands before him with a warm smile, reassuring him that he can eat without worry. His sharp red eyes analyze her face, piecing together details to confirm her kindness. Hesitant at first, he picks up his spoon and takes a bite. As soon as the food touches his mouth, his body reacts violently. He shovels the food in, desperate, ravenous, his hunger uncontrollable. The doctor watches in shock, realizing this isn't normal. It's as if he hasn't eaten in ages. As he eats, a sudden call interrupts the moment. The doctor informs him that his family has arrived. The words seem foreign to him. Mom, dad, family. He repeats them, his mind struggling to grasp their meaning. As she asks if she should bring them in, Woo-jin stares at the clock. Seconds pass, then minutes. His eyes focus on the ticking hands, counting every second it takes for his supposed family to arrive. But something isn't right. A voice whispers in his mind, promising to let him hear. Darkness floods his vision, and his surroundings distort. The world around him becomes a storm of broken texts and shattered sounds. The ticking clock echoes loudly in his ears as he looks up, bewildered. His eyes widen, scanning the hallway where shadowy figures stand beyond the hospital doors. His heartbeat quickens. The doctor speaks softly outside, but her words send chills down his spine. The patient's mental state is still unstable. His breath grows heavy. No mention of memory problems. Panic sets in. The doors finally open, revealing 3 people, his supposed parents and sister. The sight of them triggers something deep within him. His pupils shake as his mind races. When they rush toward him, calling his name, embracing him with teary eyes, he doesn't feel warmth, only confusion and fear. His mind shatters as memories flood back all at once. The words of his mother ring in his ears. It's our Woo-jin. It's our son. His breathing turns erratic. The weight of something horrible presses against his chest. Reality twists again. He clutches his head, screaming in agony. The memories, the voices, they are too much. He feels like he's drowning, unable to escape. The past he had forgotten is forcing its way back in. The truth is right there, just beyond his grasp. And then everything turns to black. A bright sky replaces the chaos. In a peaceful neighborhood, a girl sits on her couch, casually scrolling through her phone. She thinks about Woo-jin, recalling their childhood and wondering how he has been living all this time. A notification pops up, a message about a warehouse, a place tied to Woo-jin's past. Her thoughts are interrupted by a sudden knocking on the door. She rushes to open it, revealing Woo-jin standing there with their parents. He has finally come home. The atmosphere is awkward, filled with unfamiliarity. His mother greets him warmly, trying to ease the tension, but Woo-jin remains silent. His eyes scan the house, landing on framed pictures of his childhood. Its expression stays unreadable as his father places a hand on his shoulder, welcoming him back after so long. His family prepares his old room, making space for him once again. His younger sister excitedly offers to help him settle in, guiding him to his room. He enters, taking in his surroundings. The bed, the desk, the chair, everything is exactly as he left it. His sister watches him closely, sensing the distance in his gaze. She tries to lighten the mood, offering to teach him how to use a smartphone. Woo-jin listens intently as she explains the basics, his sharp mind quickly picking up on the details. He holds the phone in his hands, absorbing everything she says. His sister is surprised by how fast he learns, but Woo-jin seems distant, as if his mind is elsewhere. Something clicks in his head, and his fingers move almost instinctively. His gaze darkens for a moment as he searches for a word. Family. The screen fills with images of happy families, parents holding their children, siblings laughing together. He stares at the pictures, comparing them to the people in his house. His mother, his father, his sister. His eyes tremble as he repeats the word, family. A familiar scent drifts through the air, pulling Woo-jin out of his thoughts. It's warm, comforting, and nostalgic. His mind races as he tries to place where he remembers it from. He follows the smell, his steps uncertain yet drawn in by the familiarity. The dining table is filled with food, a feast prepared just for him. His family calls him over, telling him to sit and eat. His eyes widen at the sight. He hesitates for a moment before taking his seat, still unsure if this warmth surrounding him is real. Woo-jin sits at the dinner table with his family, the atmosphere warm and filled with laughter. They eagerly offer him food, encouraging him to try different dishes. It feels like a perfect family meal with everyone smiling and talking. But something feels off. The warmth of the moment begins to fade as darkness creeps in. Shadows consume the scene and an eerie voice speaks from the void. A chilling truth is revealed. His family had died years ago, one by one each year. First his wife, followed by his mother. The deaths continued, each more mysterious than the last. The cheerful dinner scene shatters, replaced by cold photographs of lifeless bodies. His sister-in-law was found dead from poisonous herbs. 2 others, people close to him, had also lost their lives under strange circumstances. Inside an interrogation room, a man sits across from a detective, his face tense with frustration. The detective presses him for answers, pointing out the consecutive deaths surrounding him. The man denies any involvement, his voice desperate, but the weight of suspicion is undeniable. He snaps, slamming the table in anger. His rage erupts as he curses someone he once took in, fed, and sheltered. His screams echo through the dark room. The accusations turn personal, filled with hatred. He insists that the deaths were caused by someone else, someone dangerous. He shouts that the real culprit is out there, a monster who deceived them all. His voice grows more frantic, warning the detective that they have no idea what kind of person they're dealing with. A solitary figure sits in the shadows, flipping through an old book filled with strange illustrations. The air is heavy with something sinister. The tension builds, the truth hidden beneath layers of mystery. A storm rages outside, lightning illuminating a distant, eerie building. A deep, menacing presence stirs within the darkness. A pair of glowing red eyes pierce through the black void. The truth is not as it seems. Everything, the deaths, the suffering, was caused by one person. The past is coming back and the real nightmare is about to begin.